You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Training Thursday, I want to take you through the top 10 most dangerous exercises you can be doing in the gym, at your home, or even outside, whether you be running or exercising or any of those different types of activities. I want to go through just a varied group today. So the reason I'm putting out this show right now is that I was working out at actually a local gym in my area, and I was just seeing some of the exercises that people were doing, and not from a judgment-based perspective at all, because I love beginners working out in a gym or any fitness place more than anyone else. I really like to see that. I like to see the commitment, the trying something new, any of those things. But a lot of these people weren't beginners. These were more like veterans who've been doing it a long time and just doing it incorrectly. And again, not from a judgment perspective, but from a perspective of wanting to help people so they don't get injured. Because the problem is this: when people get injured, you don't get to keep moving forward towards your goals. Like if you have body transformation goals and you hurt your rotator cuff, you hurt your knee, you hurt your lower back, you're out of the game. And you're going to slide backwards. And sometimes that slide backwards is what sends people into a tailspin. That's when they gain the 20, the 30 pounds. That's when they start becoming more lethargic, more fatigued. They get brain fog and all sorts of different things happen. They start eating poorly because they're not exercising. So my goal today is so that you can take this information, you can apply it to other exercises, not just the top 10 that I'm talking about today, and you can learn to exercise and work out a little bit more safely. And the truth is, if you're not exercising right now, you're going to be ahead of the curve to learn what not to do, what's unsafe, and it's not going to promote overall health and wellness and just getting in better shape. So let's get right into it. So this number one, this is what really got me started. And again, this should never be done, especially not in 2017. We know better now. Maybe we weren't really thinking as clearly around the year 2000 when stability balls were like really all the rage and people were trying to do every crazy exercise on them possible. And again, I'm not against stability balls. I'm not against any of the things that I'm talking about today. I'm against how they're being used sometimes. So with stability balls, I actually saw someone on top, standing on the ball. So like legitimately, physio ball or stability ball, Swiss ball, they're sometimes called. Well, someone was squatting on it with weight. So they had a friend or a personal trainer, someone behind them trying to spot them. And it was just really a bad situation because honestly, that's called a high risk, low reward exercise. That's what we're going to talk about today. Every exercise that I'm talking about today, yes, there is some benefit from it, but it's high risk, low reward. Meaning that you could do a regular squat or you could just stand on an air X or maybe a Bosu, which would be a much smarter play than standing on a ball where many people have fallen off, obviously, and got injured, but many people have also torn ligaments in their knee, ACL, MCL. I'm thinking back right now to a famous, if that's what you want the right word to use, famous personal trainer or strength coach who was kind of like joking around, showing off on the ball, and actually literally tore his ACL. This was about a decade ago. I remember him recounting the story with me. Not a great moment. So what I like to say is stability balls can be used for so many great exercises. You can use it for bridging. You can use it for using pikes under your feet. You can use it for all sorts of great things. But what you don't want to do is stand on that ball. I'm okay if you try to kneel on it, like you put your knees on it and you keep your arms out to the side. You just try to stabilize, work your core, work your inner thighs. Like that's absolutely fantastic. But what you don't want to do is stand on that ball. Not a good idea. High risk, low benefit. Okay. The second one is running with weight. I see way too many people on a treadmill holding dumbbells in their hands. And I don't care if it's 3 pounds. That your body is not holding on to 3 pound hands. Like that is not normal for your body to deal with that type of weight. It changes your gait. It changes your arm swing. And when you change your arm swing, you change your leg movement, you change your stride. So really important, like your shoulders, you're going to start to shrug. You're going to get more tension in the cervical vertebrae in your neck. Your biceps and bicep tendons are going to become more stressed. There is no need to run with weight in your hands, and definitely no need to run with weight as a weighted vest or on your body. Now, You can make a case if you evenly displace the weight. Like if you wear a weighted vest and you kind of put some on your legs or whatever it might be. But I still think it's unnecessary. You could do band sprints. That's a little bit more natural, like attaching a band around your waist and sprinting out and decelerating back. But what happens is when you add extra weight to your body, and I'm going to talk about this in just a little bit, so I don't want to ruin this one. It's number 6. You actually set yourself up to more injury. So why don't I talk about that in a moment? Right now, I just want to talk about don't hold weights in your hands when you run. Not a good idea. Okay, rounded sit-ups. That's still a popular one. I mean, sit-ups are kind of like the old school way to work your abs. It's essentially lying on the ground, someone's holding your feet, or you have your feet locked in, or your legs are at least a right angle. And what you're doing is you're kind of holding your head and you're pulling yourself all the way up to your knees. Well, what happens with that is that you're rounding out your vertebrae. You're rounding out your spine. That can lead to disc injuries. That can lead to vertebrae issues in both your neck and your lumbar, the lower back. So we want to watch out for that. Also, that's not the best. That's not the greatest amount of benefit. Ideally, you want to keep the core muscles engaged and not put a lot of strain on the actual spine. So you can still do your crunches. You can still do certain exercises. I see no issue with that because it is a functional movement. When you lie down, you do need to be able to lift yourself up. So when people say that, no, there's no need for any crunches, any type of ab work like that, well, there is, because you do need to be able to sit up without assistance. It's one way that we look at with people getting older and aging. They should be able to sit right up out of bed. That's important, and that uses your abs and core strength. So as long as we're not using a lot of weight, you can still do that. You just can't use the rounded back. Really, really important. And keep your hands to the side of your temples. Don't place them behind your head so you're not pulling your chin into your chest and rounding out your neck. Not ideal. You want to be looking basically up, like kind of gazing at a 45-degree angle. And that'll be much more beneficial. Okay, what is up next? Up next is number 5. Bent over exercises. So as you're bending over, you're also twisting to your side. Why did I put this in? The reason I put this in is that this is the number one exercise. The number one exercise for creating a lower back issue. Your body is at the greatest chance for injury when you bend over forward. You just basically, tuck your head down, you lean over with your chest, and you turn to the side, just turn to one foot. Your back is the greatest risk for injury right there. Spinal, essentially flexion with rotation. And that means that's why people throw out their back tying their shoe. They throw out their back grabbing the newspaper. Now, of course, you're in a pre-existing state for that to happen. Your back already has to be tight. You have to have tight hamstrings, tight hip flexors, all the stuff that goes into that. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's why it happens. But this is dangerous. So if you're doing an exercise like a chop or wood chop or one of those things, those are absolutely fantastic exercises. Phenomenal. I use them all the time. I recommend them. I teach them, all that. But when you're doing them, keep your eyes up. Bend to the hips if needed, bend to the knees if needed, and rotate the hips and the knee. Don't just rotate and twist your spine. Your lower back is not really meant to rotate. Your thoracic spine, which is your mid back, that's what rotates. And your hips, they rotate. Those are the mobility joints. Your lower back is a stability joint, not meant to twist. You twist your lower back, you're in for an injury. That's just basically the way it is. So be careful with that one. Okay, box jumps. Love box jumps. Fantastic exercise. What is a box jump? Well, a box jump is basically you're standing on the floor and you jump onto a box of a foot high, 2 feet high, 3 feet high. You name it. It could be 4 feet high. It could be 5 feet high. I've seen some pretty amazing ones. But box jumps and jump off, so a depth jump off the box, unless you're advanced. It's just not meant for beginners. And it's not meant for people who have to lose weight. And here's why. Meaning you have to lose more than 20 plus pounds. Because you are adding more than double your body weight, especially when the depth jump, when you jump off, to that landing. That's abrasive on the joints. And also, your nervous system has to be primed. You have to be pretty neurologically balanced, skilled, agile, whatever it might be. I've seen too many beginners get nervous, crash into the boxes, hit their shins, fall over, hit their face. Not a good idea. That will get you out of the game. We don't want that. So my advice is this. If you're going to add box jumps to your program, and if you are a beginner, great. I want you to do that. Progress. Wait 6 months. There's no rush. Those boxes aren't going anywhere. Work your way up. Then start with 1 foot. Then start with 16 inches. And then just keep going up from there. And you'll be able to do it. But just be careful in the beginning. Remember that this is a journey. It's a marathon, figuratively speaking, not a sprint. Okay. Next up is long distance running. Long distance running is a dangerous exercise for anyone, that hasn't already lost the weight that they need to and is not already in good biomechanical order or biomechanical posture, which means like good posture. Here's why. All right, first part. If you are carrying around 20, 30 plus pounds and you run, think about this. Pick up a 25-pound weight plate next time you're at the gym. Think about running with that excess weight on your back or your upper body. Think about that. How much more pressure is that on your ankles, your feet, all those 200 plus ligaments, joints, and bones in the feet, right? You're running on concrete. You're running on hard surface for the most part. What about your knees? What about your hips? What about your lower back? What about the stress fractures in the shins? What about all the vertebrae? Everything has to act as a shock absorber. So here's the thing. Running is really meant for people that are already lost the weight. And I know that people do it to lose weight, but that's not when you want to do it. And if your knees are in good alignment, meaning that too many people's knees point in, their feet splay out, their feet point out. And because of this, they're going to be more prone to injury. It's literally just a matter of time. Think about how many runners you know and how many have gotten an injury related to running. And most of the time that it's when you feel it coming on, you don't give yourself the rest, you don't get the massage, you don't do the foam rolling, you don't do the corrective work, the stretching of the hamstrings, the activation of the glutes, all of those things to keep yourself in good biomechanical form. So again, ankles, knees, hips, they really have to be in alignment. You have to learn the process of running if you're going to do longer distance running. Because if not, what you're doing is 30,000 strikes on the ground every time you go out for a run, and that's probably the minimum. And when you look at that, what I'm talking about is that type of shock absorption, especially if you're a landing on the heel type of person, is going to take its toll on your body over time. So I just want you to be careful. You like to go out once a week for a mile or 2 mile run to clear your head. It's a beautiful day. Not talking about you. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy it. Go out. I'm a big believer in that. Enjoy that. Those get the endorphins pumping. You're going to feel great. Now, all right, let's move on to this next one. So the next one is flat barbell bench press. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who are going to be, maybe a little upset that I wrote this one in particular. But what I want to say is this. I know that a lot of people do flat barbell bench press because they want to build up their chest. So basically, for the most part, it's guys and you want to lift a lot of weight. I was one of those guys. It's like, how much can I bench? The problem is using a fixed bar, meaning like a 7-foot Olympic bar, it causes more internal rotation of the shoulders, a lot like an upright row might. And over time, that can create inflammation in the shoulders. That can create a little bit of wearing away of abrasion on the actual rotator cuff itself. And it's not a healthy thing to do because naturally your hands, like if you're using dumbbells or cables, you could turn them just slightly to supine or just slightly supinated, almost more like a 45-degree angle. That's going to be so much easier on your shoulder, so much healthier for your shoulder joints. So yes, do the bench press, do the push-ups, do the cable presses, do any of those exercises for your chest. Just be very wary and leery of those flat barbell bench presses, okay? Keep that in mind, especially when you go too heavy. Now, there's so many exercises I could pick. I'm kind of cheating here. I'm doubling up on number 9. I wrote down lat pull downs to the neck and military presses to the back, to the neck as well. And here's the reason why. Very few exercises do you want to pull the object or push the object behind your head. So like a lat pull down would be seated on a machine or standing or kneeling, however you want to do it, and pulling a bar down or some type of handle down to behind the head. For the most part, people are pulling their chin into their chest, which is causing, again, that rounding of the neck. It's called the cervical vertebrae, and that can cause issues in and of itself. And they are also causing kyphotic posture. Basically, their shoulders are rounding forward. It's not good for potential injury. The same thing basically happens with a military press, where you're putting a bar behind your neck, and you're bringing it all the way down to your neck, and then you're pressing up behind it. Not great for the rotator cuffs. Again, you're using that fixed position as well, internal rotation of the shoulders. You're rounding your neck, especially as you bring the bar down, and then you're usually looking up in the air, bringing your chin way up in the air as you're pressing it up over your head. I kind of cheated there and gave you 2, but I couldn't give you one without the other because they're both reciprocal or balancing exercises. Lat pull downs work the lats. That's a vertical pull down, and a military press behind your neck with the barbell is a vertical press. Now, if you don't know any of these exercises, Then all you have to do is do a little Google search. You'll see exactly what they are. All right, we have 2 more to go. Okay, I skipped over one, so I'm going to go back to it. And you know what? I'm going to save this one for last because it's one of my favorite exercises to do, literally. But it's done incorrectly a lot of the time, and it goes from being one of the absolute best exercises you could possibly ever do in your entire life to one of the worst. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about forward lunges for beginners. Lunges are an absolutely fantastic exercise, without a doubt. They're so fantastic. They're functional. They're great for sports. But what happens is this. A backwards lunge, when you ask them to do a backwards lunge just with their own body weight, they sit back into their front hip for the most part. It's just natural. They step back behind them and they sit into the front hip. So they keep their weight on the heel of the front leg. It's perfect. Their legs look like 2 right angles. But when you ask that same beginner to do a forward lunge, what happens is they put all the weight on their toes, their heel comes up in the front as they lunge forward with that front leg, and their knee goes over their toes. This creates a large shearing force. The same shearing force that I was going to write about, again, I could give you 20 of the worst exercises, is like Smith machine squats, where it's an unnatural state. Your knees are too far forward. And when that happens, the shearing force, meaning like the tension, actually goes through the kneecap instead of through the whole body. Not good for your knees, not good for your ankles either. So when you're doing a lunge, now, can you do forward lunges in the future? Absolutely, and you should be able to. It doesn't mean stay away from this. What it means is this is what I see done incorrectly over and over and over. So you start with the backwards lunge, or just start with the split lunge, or start with the Bulgarian split lunge. All of those are absolutely fantastic for beginners. And then when you get control of your body, because really that's what it's about. It's about control. You can almost do any exercise in the world if you have control and you're thinking about your form. You won't get injured. It's really challenging to focus on form for every rep and get injured. Even if you're doing a lat pull down to your neck, even if you're doing a rounded sit-up, if you focus on the right muscles, you're less likely to pull with what you shouldn't be using. However, obviously we can improve this, which is what we're talking about today. The forward lunges, I really don't like to see people do that in the very beginning because they haven't learned yet how to decelerate as they lunge forward with that one leg, and they can't keep the weight on the heel in the front while keeping the toes light and be able to sit down into that front glute and hamstring. Start with the split lunge, start with the Bulgarian split lunge, then do the backwards lunges, which is dynamic, and then you can do the forward lunge. That's a great progression right there. Okay, my last exercise to be careful of, but once you master it, it's one of the very best exercises in the world. It quite possibly could be the most functional exercise in the world. It's called a Romanian deadlift. So Romanian deadlift is an exercise that allows you to work your hamstrings and your glutes as the primary movers, okay? Why is this so important? Because most of what we're doing when we walk, when we decelerate, when we run, when we bike, it's all quad dominant. It's the muscles on the front of the leg. It's the ones right above the knee. They become overactive. They become too strong. They become tight for the most part, and what we do lose is that balance of the hamstring behind it. The hamstring's actually supposed to balance the front of the leg. The back of the leg balances the front of the leg. And it keeps the knee in alignment. It keeps your glutes. So again, we want to work those glutes as well, the largest muscle in the body. It's very metabolic. It's going to help you burn more calories. It's going to help you boost metabolism for the long run as well. Vital important. So again, every program should include some type of variation of this. One-legged reach, Romanian deadlift, brave warrior from yoga. I mean, there's so many different variations. It's just a fantastic exercise. It really, really is. But what we see over and over and over as practitioners, whatever, for personal trainers out there, you see your clients doing it and you see people doing it with a rounded back. Once you round out your back, the whole exercise changes. You move the tension from the primary movers of the hamstring, the glutes, to the secondary muscles of the lower back, the erector spinae. Okay? Once you put it on those and you round out your lower back, you're setting yourself up for injury. But not only that, you're teaching your body that when you pick something up, you're going to do it with a rounded back. That's the beauty of the Romanian deadlift. It teaches you outside of the gym that when you pick things up with basically a straight leg, so it's almost a straight leg exercise, you go to bend over. It's almost like a toe touch, okay? Keeping your eyes fixed forward. Again, I can't explain it through a podcast. It's better to look this up on video. But when you do it and you're bending forward, essentially, which is the exercise it is, you are teaching yourself outside of the gym how to pick up a child, how to pick up a heavy object, whatever it might be, if you can't fully bend those knees. And that allows you then to say, okay, I'm going to use my biggest muscles, my hamstrings and my glutes. My lower back is just going to stabilize and it's going to help out. At the top of that exercise, you pull your shoulder blades back. It's so great for scapular retraction, so great for posture. It works the entire backside of your body. Everything from your calves all the way up to your postural muscles in your shoulders. It's just such a great exercise. Everyone should be doing it, but we need to do it with proper form. If I can find a video of mine, I'm going to link it up in today's show notes. So just go to stephencabral.com/433. And remember, the videos that I typically link up are like 6 years old or 7 years old. So they're pretty hilarious of seeing me go through these exercises, what I consider quite a long time ago. And I'll try to find that for you. We've shot, I don't know, at least 150 videos. I should be able to find one in there. But really what we're doing is we're teaching people to kind of sit back on those hips to learn the exercise, keep the back neutral so it doesn't round. And it's, again, such a beneficial exercise. I want everyone to be doing it, just like I want everyone to be doing most of these exercises, just with proper form. So hopefully today's show helped. Went a little longer than I thought I would, but hopefully it was good content. And as always, if this show helps, please do feel free to pass it on to anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone.
Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.